I want to make this short video just to specifically talk about the quotient rule because that formula is a little bit longer. And I do think that there's a nice way to help you remember it. So the quotient rule says if we have t of x divided by b of x, and here I'm using t of x to think about that as the top part of my fraction, b of x thinking about that as maybe the bottom part of my fraction, or I guess a rational function here, then y prime, the derivative, says b of x times t prime of x minus t of x times b prime of x divided by b of x squared. And if I wanted to clean this up, I don't think we really need the of x's there. If we just think about b and t as functions, we can kind of clean that up a little bit to say, okay, well that's really b times t prime minus t, oops, forgot to change my color, t times b prime divided by b squared. And that is a little bit easier, but I was never one for remembering formulas. You can absolutely use this if you want to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I have a fun, silly little rhyme that helps me remember the quotient rule. I sometimes just mutter it to myself under my breath if I'm doing a problem in class. But if I want to remember the quotient rule, how I can think about this, I'm going to call b, I'm going to call that low, and t, I'm going to call that high. So if I look at the formula that I have written here for my quotient rule, it says b, so I'm going to call that low. T prime, well that's the derivative of t, which is the high, so I'm going to say low. To show the derivative, I'm going to say d high. So this means the derivative of my numerator, so low d high, minus t, so that's high, times b prime. Well, that's d low, the derivative of the denominator, square the bottom, and away you go. So if I remember the quotient rule, or if you have trouble remembering it, you can always say to yourself, low d high minus high d low, square the bottom, and away you go. This is something that I learned when I was in AP Calculus, so I got to make sure to credit my AP Calculus teacher. I got to make sure to cite my sources. So thank you very much, Mrs. Schneider, wherever you are. I appreciate this rhyme. And I just want to make sure I cite my source. So I don't care which of these you use. You might think that the rhyme is kind of silly and kind of dumb, and maybe it is, but it helps me remember the quotient rule. And at the end of the day, that's all I needed to do. So in the next video, we'll take a look at some examples where we'll actually find some derivatives and actually use the quotient rule.